If you've been a trance fan in Europe over the last decade, you're probably not a stranger to the name Ross Smith. Having been a producer since 2010, he's known for his melodic mixes and unique style that has gained him recognition in the scene. However, over the last few years, he's embarked on quite a personal journey. When we learned the heart-touching meaning behind the track and the Arja project itself, it really moved us. Knowing that many of our listeners are going through similar journeys and phases in their life, and wanted to empower each one that they're not alone and can draw some strength from this powerful story. Ross, welcome, and thanks again for the opportunity to connect.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me.
Kicking things off with our first question, can you share the definition of Ghosts of the Past and what it means to you?
To me, Ghosts of the Past is a very much an introspective piece. It encompasses the principal idea that life is going to present us with significant challenges, and ultimately, in spite of those challenges, it's how we find a way through and overcome those challenges, even when we might well be plagued with the memories of those past pains, traumas, experiences that didn't quite work out the way in which we'd hoped they would. But ultimately, that life must go on, that we find a way through, and that we ultimately grow from those experiences. They strengthen us and strengthen our resolve.
Can you share what moments stick out from the creative process that brought Ghosts of Our Past to life?
This is a superb question, and I do remember a moment very much so in the creative process that really stands out. Ultimately, I had the track pretty much its entirety completed. All the sort of core elements there, your kick and bass effects, acid lines, and ultimately all the pads and melodies were all there. Getting into the breakdown, I just felt that it could do with something a bit extra to really fulfill it. And having been a big fan of the Peaky Blinders show, I remembered the scene so clearly that is used in the track as the call and response piece, and it just fitted so well. It wasn't the initial intention, but just giving that a go and trying it, I was so pleased when it seated as well as it did, and the overall emotional response it gives in the track for me is incredibly overwhelming, and I'm certainly hopeful that that also delivers the same feeling that it gave to me.
For those who aren't familiar with Arja and know the Ross Smith name, can you share the inspiration for the project?
So the Arja brand came into being very shortly after the end of my time in a duo ship called Rated R. And ultimately this was my decision to re-enter and re-establish myself within a solo domain. And it was a expansion of my initials. So my first two initials are RJ, and I sat for quite some time working on different variations, and I just came to the conclusion that Arja was, for me, felt the most natural, and it just really worked. The reason behind that was that initially my father, when I was a boy, used to call me RJ. Expanding out to Arja, it created a line of separation, but equally still had that pleasant connotation, and it's been a really exciting, very busy 3 years now, but very excited for the future.
We love to hear the origin stories of fellow artists, so can you share when and what track made you fall in love with trance?
I've thought about this question for a very, very long time, and I would put this down to April 20th, 2007 is when I completely fell in love with trance. I was very fortunate to see Tiesto play Alexandra Palace on April 20th, 2007 with a good friend of mine. I don't know what happened that night, but I was just completely sold. The Elements of Life album is sublime, and everything about that night was just incredible. The track that I would say formalised my absolute adoration of trance music and of the genre is Tiesto's remix of Paul Oakenfold's Southern Sun. I have loved that song from the second I heard it, and there are many songs that I absolutely adore, but Southern Sun, it just speaks to me on another level that I can't really put into words, and it's always been with me, it's always given me that same sensation, and I just love it.
What's on the radar for Arja and Ross Smith in the second half of 2024?
It's shaping up to be a really exciting and full-on rest of the year. I have a number of releases still to be pushed out into the world, including a release with Tidy, which is an official remix, 2 releases, one with a very well-established brand in Japan and one in the United States, which I'm looking very much forward to for both. I have a trip planned to Ibiza. I've not been there since 2016, and I'm so excited to be heading back over there and playing again. It was incredible over there when I was last in the White Isles, and I so can't wait for this. I have a big announcement coming up towards the end of this year at some point. I can't say when it's going to be released as an announcement, so this is one of those pre-announcements which everyone loves so dearly, but I can't say anything more than that. And also I have a lot of extra time planned in the studio. Really want to develop my sound even further than it is currently and really expand my horizons. So very much looking forward to undergoing more tuition, more learning, more personal development. Something I would certainly encourage other artists to continue doing. It really makes the difference, and I've certainly felt my growth as an artist has expanded exponentially as a result.
It's been amazing having you, Ross. Thanks for joining us here at the Church of Trance.
Thank you for having me, it's been brilliant.
The driving melody brings you right into the first drop with the classic Peaky Blinders reference in Season 1, Episode 2, in which Grace and Thomas, aka Mr. Shelby, have an interaction about the ghosts of the past. Grace asks if she should sing him a happy or sad song, to which Thomas replies, "Sad," and Grace adds, "But I warn you, I'll break your heart." The pads and keys on the build reflect that ominous overtone as they climb into stunning mains and tug at the heartstrings, reminding us that we all go through seasons of change. And like Ross's story, on the other side of darkness is a bright and glorious sunrise. We can't wait to share this in the August episode of the Church of Trance, and in many more sets to come.